Shocking news from Hollywood this weekend. Actor Paul Walker, who began acting as a child, then starring in the Fast and Furious films, dying in a car crash. Tonight, the last image of him alive and his fellow actors now paying tribute. ABC's Cecilia Vega from the scene tonight.
Just minutes after actor Paul Walker, known for his role in the blockbuster hits Fast and Furious, and his friend, pro racer Roger Rodas, drove off, this. When rescue crews arrived, the fireball was still burning. Witnesses tried to put the fire out too. It was too late.
What made you switch from marine biology to acting?
That wasn't a conscious decision. The decision was more or less made for me. I was at a situation where I'd run out of funding basically for school, and was looking for a means to potentially earn some more income. And the idea was to go back. And good fortune struck. I was quite lucky early on with the audition for Pleasantville. I was in my early 20s at that time, and I thought I'd make one movie and pay off my loans and go back and finish school, and it just hasn't stopped. So the passion for marine biology is still there, and that's my first passion, so I still find other ways to fulfill that. As much as I appreciate the ocean, earth sciences in general have always fascinated me. So the older I get, it's just specific as, say, to stuff that caters to the ocean. Like, for instance, I really like just the way everything really all comes together. So to me, I think it's more about the symbiotic relationships, and more, I think, just the earth science as a whole. Botany's really kind of taken a hold of me lately, and even birding, which sounds funny because I always thought when I was younger that was for old men. But I really enjoy it. And with that, a lot more photography, so photographing nature. I used to be a really big hunter, and what I found as I've gotten older is I enjoy taking photos of the wildlife more, because I can pull the trigger 100, 200, 300 times and I can come back and see that animal the next day. So it's just kind of a realization that I've made really as of late, and the older I get, the more I appreciate that.
Jordana, I love Jordana. Like, I've known her since she was 19 years old. Like, it's like I love her. Like, I would die for her in a heartbeat, And to be sitting there with her, I mean, it's like, well, here we are after all this time, Now we're pretending like we got a baby. Like, this is a trip, but everything feels so natural and just fluid, And then Vin coming up and, playing Uncle Dom, it's like, we do that in our real life, I do it with his kids, he does it with my daughter. When you do it for real is when it looks the best. It's the same with driving, it's the same with anything in the movie business, It's like, it's why it's so nice when Justin's like, oh, we're gonna get away from the green screen stuff. We're gonna do it practical, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. It looks a million times better. Sometimes you have to do it for real. You got to. Kim and I were trying to sell this lamb, and they wanted to bring the cable, and I said, bro, if you just grab me around the neck. He's like, how much do you weigh? I'm like, I'm about 190 pounds. He's like, what is that in kilos? So we do the conversion real quick, and he's like, oh, I could pick you up with one arm. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you can. So I said, you know what, just grab me around the throat, man, and I'll hold on to your hand with both arms and just pick me up and chuck me on the car. And Vincent was there, and he's like, you could do that? And I'm like, yeah, come on, Vincent. How long have you been doing this now? And he's like, all right. So just boom, just slammed me a couple times, boom. And I remember there's a couple of times where I came down a little too heavy in the head, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I made sure I kept my chin tucked, But that guy just launched me. But I had a headache for probably about an hour and a half after that. Well, that's the fun stuff,
Different world, and everybody's capable of doing different things, and also the adrenaline, the cars.
I think so. It's all of those things, It's people that are willing to take chances and walk the line, It's either between what's legal, what's illegal, right? What's plausible and what's not. I mean, even in the action and the stuff that we do, we walk the line of, what's real and what's hyper real. And sometimes we push it a little bit further, I think it just embodies, it represents a lot, and I think it's something that happened early on, and I think that along the way, I think that people have just managed to augment what was already there. And I just started putting one foot in front of the other, and all of a sudden I'm making movies. I didn't even want to do that. But it's a good thing it came around when it did, because just like a year or two after that, I found out I was going to be a dad. And I was like, well, thank God I'm going to be able to put a roof over my baby's head, you know? And now she's with me full time, and she's cracking whip, man. She's got me going in the right place, and yeah, it's a good time. What I get, my favorite, honestly, is Brian. Like, I like Brian. When I get Paul Walker, I run. Because there's two different varieties, right? There's the fans, and there's the celebrity freaks, right? That's the way I look. I separate them, and it's like, I love the fans. So anywhere I go, if somebody comes up to me and they call me Brian, I want to sit down and talk with them. I'll powwow. That's the trick. You want to get me, call me Brian. I like our fans. Our fans are cool. And it doesn't matter where I go. I mean, I get it with accents. Back home, we got a, big Latin community. A lot of Mexicans there in Southern California. I get Brian. What's up, Brian? I love that. I just like learning, I like people. The more fucked up somebody is, the more fascinated I am by them. And in this job, you travel a lot. You're always meeting new people. There's always something else to figure out. There's always another study. Yeah, I love people. Sit up there, and from that vantage you can look around and you could see everything for what it really is. And not only that, but if that grass looks good over there, you can go play in that grass. So I'm not quite 40 yet, and I'm like, fuck, I've been all over the place. Like, I know what that's like. I know what that's like. And the best is what you water, you know?
Memoriam.